Pilot, your Titan is standing by. Call it when ready.
Take out those guys! Fire! Fire!
I used to absolutely love this gun. I was raving about it early on in the game. It was so good. And I think the main reason I thought it was so good was because of the amped weapons. It used to bring it on par with the other weapons. But now that that's gone, I just never found that it ever really competed. I kind of feel that way about all grenadiers as well as snipers and just all projectile weapons for pilots in general. Even for the Titan, it severely increases the skill gap for the Titans that have hit scan weapons versus the ones that are projectiles. which is a reason. Scorch, North Star, some people don't see why he's good, but he is extremely good if you're good at positioning and you have a good aim. So if that's you, then you may fare well with a projectile weapon. For the majority of people, you're not going to do as well as if you were to use a hit scan weapon. And how did we get here? Well, I think we're going to have to blame Respawn, because you really have to think that the projectiles were never really balanced. Like, think about how bad projectiles is, that the DMR, a one-shot weapon, back when amped weapons was unlimited, and people still didn't want to use it. That's how bad some of the balancing was at the beginning. There's some hardcore people that still bust them out. If I see people using it on the other team, I will definitely join in. And I bring the All-Star, which is, to me, the only real viable Grenadier weapon in this game. It's not even in the Grenadier class. What am I talking about? I just associate it with it because it's a projectile. Either way, I find that those weapons still mesh really well in the sandbox. I love playing with people that actually use Grenadier weapons. It makes the match so much fun, and it also just changes it up from that, you know, that staleness that happens with any game as it progresses in age. And when you don't see any kind of tweaks or any new additions, whether it be maps, balance changes, any kind of DLC really, right? Like, you can always keep a game alive with some DLC. It just mixes up the meta. It changes things enough that people can experiment even more. So things like that are really good, but in Titanfall, we're kind of stuck where we are, also with no real future in sight, because Titanfall 3, who knows, all we got is speculation. Like, I wish that they would come out with something for Titanfall 2, but more than likely we're looking at Titanfall 3, and there's where I'm hoping they make an impact in regards to Grenadier weapons and projectile weapons in general. I think you should have that. I think it's also a nice nod to Quake, which to me is kind of like, you know, what this game is based on. It has all those elements of the mobility, but then brought it into like the modern first-person shooter. You know, you're a little bit bulkier. It's not just flying around. There's still more COD styles, so it's more accessible to other people. I'm fine with accessibility in games. I am, but you still have to balance it accordingly. And real balance is always based on high-tier play. That's just the way it is. And we have a pretty highly skilled community, so bringing out the L-Star now, I don't expect to do as well as I did a year ago. People are just more onto it, and trying to make that progress solely on that gun is going to be tough. If I can fall back on my Titan if I'm playing a mode like Attrition, then I'm fine. But if you have to carry out the whole game with a Grenadier or a projectile weapon in a lobby full of people using long-range hit-scan weapons, you're going to struggle. I basically think they need a complete rework. I love when you have the right anti-Titan gun. You're like, it was so quick to get my Titan. But in regards to balance, I think all those things need to be redone completely. I would like if they were buffed. I think they all deserve a buff. It would really mix up the meta, and I still think there's enough skill involved that it wouldn't completely shift the meta, but I think it would make something a little bit more viable. The only thing that is still changing in Titanfall is the playlist that they change out, what, every couple weeks, something like that, maybe every week. I don't pay too much attention to it. It's just the same game types. I think that's an opportunity to actually mix things up. They could put in just Grenadier playlists for the week and then change that up to just snipers, just SMGs. You know, I think that is a nice sandbox for them to play with that they never took advantage of. I don't know why they abandoned that when it's practically already made for you. You just need to put in the parameters of the match and, you know, there you go. I'm no programmer, but, you know, I think it's the least they could do. If not, maybe even update the homepage. I love that sniping montage, but it has been there quite a while. There is still a very dedicated community, and I don't know why they're not acknowledging us. Wah! Wah! Am I just crying in the background? I'm like, hey, Dad! Get over here. Change me. This game's getting shitty. Is that too far? I'm just joking, guys. This game is only 2 years old. I think it is a little bit too young for its parents to have ran off on it. It still needs a little bit more guidance. I think a little bit of change would do us all some good, and if they can't do it, then you have to be the change you want to see. That's got to be a slogan to something. As cheesy as that is, if you want to make the difference, then, you know, you have to change it up. And to be honest, I don't care about the majority of weapons. I think it is really how you use it. We're going to be doing the Spitfire verdict in the next little bit. And that was one of the replies. I'm going to go over a few things that some people said because I think it's interesting to hear other people's point of views. So I'm going to share that with you in the next video now. What are we going to be doing? We're going to be doing Ion. I have some crazy grapples coming up. I want to say I've peaked, but no, I think it's just starting. I'm so good at grabbing people out of the air these days. But I really do wish I could use more grenadier weapons at the higher tiers. I think there it would be a lot more fun if they were just balanced. They just need to be strengthened, buffed a little bit. And I think they could come back into this game and it would be really cool. That's what I get for showing off. But that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you for joining me, Paper. Cut to you, and I'll see you guys next time.